Hi, welcome back. It's Dr. Kirk again. We're going to talk about something that people don't like to talk about very much: urinary incontinence. The leak that you'd love to lose. And it's kind of easy, actually, to lose the leak. Let's talk about it. One of the things that's really important is to know that you have a partner in this process. We at the St. Helena Women's Center, Drs. Henry, myself, Dr. Kirk, and even a specialist, female urologist, Dr. Mindy Marquez. We're all there for you to take care of this type of a problem, and we do it all the time. So don't ever feel like any topic is too worrisome or shy or embarrassing to talk about, because there really isn't anything if it revolves around your health. But let's talk about incontinence. What is incontinence? It's not one thing. It's the simple loss of urine for some reason, and there are many different reasons. The first and most common type is called stress incontinence. And most of you who have the experience, and believe it or not, as we go through life, as many as 40 to 50% of women will have urinary stress incontinence. Probably much higher percentage in terms of like intermittent, once in a blue moon type of loss, but on an average, regular, daily loss, as much as 20 to 40% of women through their life will experience this. Why? What's happening? This is when you cough, you sneeze, you change positions, and you actually leak a little bit of urine. Some people, they leak a lot of urine. What's going on there? Typically, it's related to damage to the tissues around the urethra and in the vagina that support the structures, the bladder, where the urine's stored, and the vagina, as well as the rectum. All of those are damaged during the course of pregnancy. Even with a C-section, women suffer some damage to those structures, but clearly with vaginal birth, or natural birth, that process is increased. And when that happens, these little tears and injuries to the tissue inside the vagina and around the bladder, they cause weaknesses in the muscle. And as we get older and as we get more pressure, perhaps one's constipated or has difficulty urinating and has to push, those extra pressures lead to more and more damage. And as we go through menopause with less estrogen, less tissue thickening, which is what estrogen really does in the vagina, that also leads to increasing problems with the prolapse, or falling of the bladder, or falling or raising, in this case, of the rectum. All of these things can lead to losses of either urine or even in some cases stool. Given that, how do we solve that problem? Well, there are a lot of different ways, and there are mostly surgical ways to solve stress incontinence. There are things that are called tapes or mini tapes. There are many different brands. But they're pieces of mesh. And mesh you might have heard of on the TV. There's a lot of lawyers who are trying to sue about mesh, and there's a significant discussion to be had, and we will have that discussion at another time. For the most part, however, the procedure that helps stress incontinence is not one of those types of procedures that leads to significant problems. It's a very simple procedure. These tapes or mesh that is placed in the vagina right underneath the tube from the bladder to the outside where the urine flows is placed right in the middle of that. And it's a very, very thin, small piece anchored or placed into position in the muscle belly to sort of reproduce or recreate this damaged tissue, to give you a backdrop that when you cough and sneeze, the urethra, the bladder do not move as they do when you do have damage and nothing to support it. They do not move out of the abdomen and then lose the pressure that helps them to maintain continence or to keep the urine where it's supposed to be. This helps prevent that from happening. Very simple procedure. In some cases, it's even done in an outpatient setting, in an office setting, for example. But most of the time, just for comfort's sake, we do these in outpatient surgery centers. It's a very quick procedure, lasts maybe 10, 15 minutes. Very uncommon to have any serious side effects, and it's extremely well tolerated for most women, and it works great. Probably 85 to 90% of women, even more in some studies, have significant improvement, if not completely dry. There are some who are improved but not perfect. That's just the nature of the beast. Sometimes the damage to the tissues is so great, or to the muscles inside the bladder is so great, that we have different types of incontinence, and they're not appropriate for this surgery. What are those? Well, there's another type of incontinence called urge incontinence, another one called overflow incontinence, and then there's the, of course, mixed incontinence, which takes some fragments from each of those and leads to urinary loss. Now, overflow incontinence and urge incontinence are very similar in a lot of ways. Urge incontinence is when you feel like you have to go to the bathroom, and you think about it, and within a couple seconds, too fast to get to the bathroom, you're leaking urine. Because you're thinking about it, and you just don't have the ability to stop. You don't have the ability to control the urine. That's called overflow incontinence and urge incontinence. There are different symptoms for them, sometimes different reasons. Remember, I talked about prolapse briefly, when there's damage and the bladder falls. Well, when that really falls down quite a bit, sometimes it pinches the urethra, the tube from the bladder, to the outside where the urine comes, and if it pinches it, it actually makes it really hard to go to the bathroom. So the bladder keeps filling up and filling up. It actually distends. The bladder's a wonderful organ. It's kind of like a balloon. It can fill up to an average of around 250 or 300 cc's. It can go as high as 1,000 or 2,000 cc's in some patients. That's not normal. When that happens, it actually causes damage to the muscles and damage to the neck, or the top of the bladder that actually holds the urine back. When that happens, it's not a surgical repair. Sometimes we can treat that with medications, which actually, of course, is very minimally invasive. There are side effects with some of those medications, and we would certainly talk to you about those when you chose to come in and talk with us about this problem. But there are solutions for all types of urinary incontinence in almost all cases, even if it results in catheterizing yourself. And that sounds really scary. What that is putting a tube inside the bladder and draining the urine from the bladder on a regular basis, so that you don't actually get to the point where you're having the overflow incontinence because of some reason or another that your body, your bladder has stopped functioning in the way it should. And there are many other possibilities as to what causes urinary incontinence. Obviously, more than we can talk about today, but it's been a pleasure speaking about it, about a topic that we don't tend to want to talk about, but we are here for you at the St. Helena Women's Health Center. We look forward to meeting you soon, and have a blessed day. Thanks.